She bent slowly, picking up a mug, cracked down the middle. It had read, "Love is brewed here." Now it only whispered defeat. Her boots squelched in the water. Her jeans clung to her skin. Her lips trembled, not from cold, but because everything inside her was broken. The storm hadn't just taken her building. It had stolen her breath, her plans, her last bit of control. A clipboard tapped her shoulder. "Ma'am," said the man in a plastic poncho. "I'm with the insurance company." She nodded mutely. He scanned the mess, then gave his verdict. "Act of God, minimal coverage. I'm sorry." That was it. No fight, no empathy, just protocol. "Hi, my beautiful family. Before we begin, I need your help. If you've ever had to face an impossible decision, if you've ever had to swallow your pride to survive, then please pause for just a second, like this video, comment below, and tell me where you're watching from. Your support tells YouTube this story is worth sharing. It tells us you're here, not just for entertainment, but for the emotions that matter. We cut this story short, not because it lacks depth, but because we want to get straight to the point. No dragging, no delays, just you and a journey that might move your heart. Let's begin. Zara arrived just as Mia was slipping down onto a pile of wet cardboard. The ER nurse still wore her scrubs. Her brown curls were tied back, and her eyes were tired, but her hands were warm when she reached down. "Mia, sit up. You look like you haven't eaten or slept in days." Mia didn't argue. She couldn't. "It's over," Mia murmured. "No, it's not. I'm 2 weeks behind on rent. The bank's been calling. That notice on the door, it's real." "I have nothing left, Zara." Zara hesitated. Then she looked around, made sure no one was listening, and sat beside her. "There's someone. You're going to hate it. But I need you to hear it." Mia turned to her, eyes puffy and red. "What is it?" "Liam Owen." "You've heard of him?" "No. Well, he basically owns half of Miami General. His name's on the surgical wing. Billionaire, quiet, private, and he's looking for a surrogate." Mia flinched. "Zara, wait, let me finish. He doesn't want it the clinical way. Just one night, no strings. You get $2 million, and a lawyer. All up front. Sell my body? No. Trade it, for your future. Just think about it." That night, Mia didn't go home, because she didn't have one. She curled up on Zara's couch, surrounded by unopened bills, a soaked backpack, and her grandmother's prayer beads. The foreclosure notice was face up on the table. Next to it, a menu from her cafe, smudged in ink, a shadow of what once was. Her hand hovered over her phone. She thought of pride, of reputation, of what her grandmother would say. And then she remembered something else her grandmother used to say during hard times. Pride feeds the soul, but hunger devours the body. The digits dialed themselves. She didn't breathe as it rang. A woman's voice answered. Crisp, smooth, controlled. "Mr. Owen's office. This is Alessandra. I'm Mia Willow. Zara referred me." Pause. "Please be available at 1:30 p.m. tomorrow. A car will come for you." That was it. No negotiation, no explanation. Mia dropped the phone on her chest and stared at the ceiling, heart hammering like she'd made a deal with the devil. But devils didn't come in suits. Or did they? At exactly 1:30 p.m., the black car pulled up. The driver didn't speak. He didn't ask questions. He simply opened the door and waited. Mia slid in, palms sweaty. Downtown Miami's skyline shimmered in the heat as they passed rows of luxury towers. Then came his building, taller than the rest, cold, silver, and slick, like it had no history, just ambition. Inside, polished marble floors led to a private elevator. A woman in black awaited. "I'm Alessandra," she said. "Mr. Owen will see you now." The elevator rose in silence, each floor a decision Mia couldn't undo. Then the doors parted, and he was there. Liam Owen stood facing the window, hands behind his back, Miami stretching out beneath him. When he turned, Mia caught her breath. Tall, broad, midnight hair, stone-gray eyes. He looked like he belonged to the future, not the present. He studied her without smiling. "You lost something," he said. "My cafe." He nodded, then listed her life like he had it memorized. Orphaned at 16, culinary scholarship. 5 years in business, 5-star local reviews, no criminal record, clean health history, no dependents. Mia's breath hitched. You had me investigated. No, I had you evaluated. You make this sound like a transaction. It is. He gestured to a folder on the table. 1 night. My child. 2 million. You get visitation if desired. Medical covered. But I retain legal custody. Mia stood up, anger rising. I'm not for sale. You called me. Silence. He didn't smirk. Didn't gloat. Just waited. Mia's voice wavered. This is obscene. No, it's clear. He stepped forward, holding out a pen. You set your terms, or you walk. I won't chase. 3 days passed. Zara helped her review every line of the contract. Mia added her own clauses: visitation, postpartum support, psychological boundaries. Her lawyer reinforced them. When she returned, Liam accepted every change. No arguments. That night, he didn't meet her in a suit. His shirt sleeves were rolled, his voice quiet. There's a guest suite if you want to prepare. She shook her head. Let's just get it over with. But it didn't go that way. He didn't rush. He didn't take. He offered. Slowly, reverently. When he kissed her, it was a question. When she answered, it was yes. Not just to him, but to a fate she hadn't yet understood. They didn't talk. They moved. And when it was done, she left his bed. But not his thoughts. The pen felt heavier than it should. Mia stared at the thick ivory paper, her name typed out beside Liam's. The clauses had all been reviewed. Her lawyer was satisfied. Zara had double-checked. Every boundary she'd demanded was there in black and white. Still, her hands trembled. She could walk away. The exit was always there. Liam hadn't pressured her, hadn't begged. He offered, and left it at that. No chase, no sweet-talking, just the cold, efficient precision of a man who lived by logic, not emotion. And maybe that's what unnerved her the most. He didn't even want her. Not really. He wanted a child. Her body was a means to an end. And yet, when he had touched her hand the night she signed the addendum, it wasn't callous. It was deliberate, grounded. She signed. With one flourish of ink, she agreed to create life with a man she barely knew, for money she desperately needed. Liam didn't smile. He only nodded once and quietly said, "Thank you for being direct." The penthouse lights were low, not dim, just softly deliberate. Mia had expected clinical, metallic, maybe even impersonal. What she got was warmth, not cozy, but composed. He didn't greet her with an embrace. There were no grand gestures, no champagne on ice. Just 2 crystal glasses of deep red wine waiting on the counter. Liam stood at the kitchen island, sleeves rolled again, shirt unbuttoned at the collar. His tie was missing. He looked less like a billionaire, more like a man who had just come back from a late meeting, and somehow still looked devastating doing it. She walked in slowly. "You cook?" she asked, eyeing the untouched kitchen. He didn't look up. "No, but I know the power of presentation." She gave a dry chuckle. He finally looked at her. "Would you prefer water?" "I'm not nervous," she said flatly. "I never assumed you were—" She took the wine. He didn't toast. Neither did she. They drank. The guest suite was prepared. A soft robe hung on the door. A small box of toiletries sat untouched on the dresser. Even the lighting was flattering. No harsh angles, no cruel reflections. Mia sat on the edge of the bed. Was this really happening? Was she truly about to share her body with someone for a price? She stared at herself in the mirror and whispered, "You're not selling your soul. You're buying your future." A knock. "Are you ready?" She opened the door. He stood there, still composed, still calm. "I don't need preparation," she said. Liam nodded and stepped aside, allowing her into the main bedroom. It wasn't excessive. No gold accents, no chandeliers, just comfort, clean lines, earth tones. "I won't do anything without your consent," he said quietly. "I know. I won't rush you. I didn't come here to be coddled. I'm not coddling you. I'm respecting you." Silence. She stepped closer. Then, "Stop asking." His eyes searched hers. And only then, only when she didn't flinch, did he move. The kiss didn't start hot. It started hesitant. Their lips met once, then paused. Mia expected demand, dominance, something aggressive. But what she got instead was discovery. Liam's hand cupped her cheek. His thumb brushed the side of her mouth. His other hand rested on her waist, not gripping, just anchoring. When he kissed her again, it was longer, deeper. He tasted like aged wine and restraint. She reached for the buttons on his shirt. He stopped her, just for a breath, then helped her undo them, one by one. Their clothes came off slowly, not like a scene from a movie, but like shedding the weight of everything they'd been carrying. No scripts, no seduction games, just breath, pulse, heat. And when their bodies finally met, Mia gasped, not from pain, but from the sudden intimacy of it. The fullness, the truth of being seen, held, entered, not like a product, but like a person. He moved slowly, deliberately. He watched her face, listened to her sounds. She didn't expect tenderness. She didn't expect her body to respond, but it did. And somewhere between the sighs and the silence, something shifted. This wasn't obligation. This was surrender. Mia woke before dawn. The sheets still held his scent, clean linen and something smoky, masculine. Liam was gone from the bed, but she could hear him in the living room, voice low on a call. She dressed quietly. When she stepped out, he was pouring coffee. "You don't have to rush," he said. "I wasn't sure if I should stay. You're welcome to—" She took the mug, sipped. It was dark roast, strong, no sugar, just like him. "I expected it to feel worse," she confessed. "I didn't want it to feel like anything but real." Was it? It was human. That stunned her. She turned away before her face could give too much. He didn't chase her. He just stood there, watching, not as a billionaire who bought a contract, but as a man who wasn't entirely sure what he'd just allowed into his world. When she left, she didn't say goodbye. But she did look back once. So did he. The apartment was silent when Mia returned to Zara's couch. Her fingers were still trembling, not from fear, but from confusion. She stared at herself in the mirror above the dresser. Her reflection didn't look different, but something was different. She had walked into that penthouse expecting to feel used, expected to leave feeling smaller. Instead, she felt raw, unsteady, open. She hadn't just given her body to Liam Owen. She had been met by him. His eyes hadn't wandered. His hands had not roamed without asking. Every touch had felt like a question. Every movement, a decision made together. It wasn't supposed to be that way. That night was meant to be mechanical, clinical, a transaction, but it had felt intentional, human, almost sacred, and that was the most unsettling part of all. The next morning, Zara placed a plate of eggs and toast in front of her. "You're too quiet," Zara said gently. "I thought it'd feel different. Worse." Mia nodded. "But it didn't." Zara hesitated. "Do you regret it?" "I don't know yet." "That's fair." They ate in silence for a while. Then Mia looked up. "He wasn't what I expected." Zara raised a brow. "He wasn't cold, not exactly warm, but measured, patient. He didn't just touch me, he watched me, like he was trying to understand something. That sounds more dangerous than someone who doesn't care." "I know." Zara squeezed her hand. "Just don't fall." "I won't." But they both knew it was already too late. 3 weeks later, Mia sat on the bathroom floor, staring at the test stick. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She just stared. 2 lines, clear as day. Pregnant. She hadn't truly let herself believe it would happen. Contracts were one thing, but life, real life, forming inside her? Her fingers slowly moved to her belly. Liam Owen's child. No, children, she joked internally, trying to shake the storm inside her. She needed to tell him. But how do you inform a man like Liam Owen that he's no longer a solitary figure in the world? She picked up her phone. He didn't answer the call. Instead, a text came 5 minutes later. "I've made a reservation. Lesson, 7 p.m. Dress comfortably. Table is already secured." Mia stared at it. No congratulations. No how are you. Just a directive. But somehow, it didn't offend her. She respected the clarity. That evening, Mia didn't dress for survival. She dressed for war. A burgundy sheath dress clung to her curves, modest but firm. Her hair was pulled back into a sleek knot. Her lipstick was sharp. Leeson was Miami's most exclusive restaurant. the kind of place where even the lighting felt judgmental. He was already there, seated near the window, posture relaxed but alert. That same unreadable calm. When he saw her, his eyes paused, just long enough for her to notice. "You look resolved," he said. "I'm pregnant. Straight. No pause." He nodded. "Congratulations. That's all? I've arranged your medical team. You'll be cared for. The first payment has been released. Additional support, groceries, yoga, protection is already in motion. I didn't ask for yoga or bodyguards. No. But they'll help." She narrowed her eyes. "You don't just prepare, you control. I protect what I invest in. I'm not a stock. No. You're the mother of my child. That matters." Their dinner was quiet. Not awkward, strategic. They discussed her new doctor, her dietary needs, her comfort levels. Every question Liam asked was specific. Every answer he gave was exact. But beneath the logistics, something else simmered. "I can handle decisions," she finally said. "I never said you couldn't. Then why do you make them for me?" "Because I don't wait to act when something matters." She leaned forward. "You don't even know me. I know enough to care." Her chest tightened. She took a sip of water, grounding herself. "I'm not yours, Liam. I'm aware. But you act like I am." He didn't respond, because he knew she wasn't wrong. Mia moved through her days with quiet resolve. Her morning nausea had begun, subtle but real. Zara brought her ginger tea and prenatal vitamins. The doctor Liam arranged. Dr. Kellen was gentle, thorough, and respectful of her space. The medical bills were all prepaid. No questions, no paperwork. But what she couldn't avoid was the mirror. Every morning she'd stand sideways and study herself. She wasn't showing yet. But her body felt different, tighter, fuller, more aware of itself. She touched her stomach and whispered, "It's real." Sometimes she imagined brown curls and gray eyes. A soft laugh, small hands. Then she'd catch herself and shove those thoughts away. This wasn't a romance. It was a deal, right? One afternoon, she walked past the wreckage of Willow and Bean. The insurance money had done nothing, but a deposit had appeared in her account, far more than what the contract required. No explanation. When she asked Liam through a message, he replied simply, "I took the liberty of covering the reconstruction. That wasn't in the agreement. Neither was watching you lose it." The new contractor was top tier. The design draft looked almost identical to her original layout, only better. More seating, modern plumbing, new ovens. He hadn't asked for permission, but he had remembered every detail. 3 days later, Alessandra called. "Mr. Owen would like to accompany you to the ultrasound." Mia paused. "Why?" He said, "It's a personal priority. I'll consider it." That night, she didn't sleep. She told herself it was just another transaction, but deep down she knew, if he came, it would change something. The exam room was cool. The air hummed quietly with machines. Mia lay on the table, shirt lifted, gel applied. Liam arrived just before the procedure began. He didn't wear a suit, no tie, just a charcoal shirt, sleeves rolled up again. It was always the same, quiet strength, never chaos. He didn't speak when he entered. He just nodded, then stood on the other side of the room, watching. The doctor pressed the wand against her belly. The screen lit up, static. Then, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. The heartbeat filled the room like thunder and silence. Mia gasped, but it was Liam who startled her. His hand, steady as steel, shook slightly. He leaned forward. "That's ours?" She looked at him. His face wasn't calm. It was wrecked. He blinked quickly once, then twice, but the shimmer in his eyes was undeniable. In the waiting area, he sat beside her. Neither of them spoke. Finally, he turned. "I thought I was doing this alone." "You're not," she replied. "That heartbeat." He trailed off, searching for words. She didn't fill the silence. Sometimes, the truth is loudest when it's unspoken. He took a slow breath. "I underestimated what this would feel like." She nodded. "So did I." He glanced at her hand resting over her stomach. Then, gently, he reached over and placed his hand beside it. Not over it, beside it, side by side, not claiming, just being present. That one gesture said more than any boardroom promise ever could. That night, a box arrived at her door. No name, no note, just a ribbon and Liam's monogram. Inside, a rare cookbook by her culinary hero, out of print, pristine condition. And tucked inside it, a sticky note, scribbled in his handwriting. In case you want to start dreaming again. Mia sat on the edge of her bed, running her fingers over the spine. She whispered, "Why are you doing this, Liam?" He wasn't in love with her. That much she believed. But there was something else blooming between them. Something neither of them had prepared for. Liam hadn't spoken much since the ultrasound. Days passed, but his silence was different now. It wasn't cold. It was contemplative, like he was afraid any word might undo what he felt in that moment when he heard their baby's heartbeat. But tonight, he broke that silence. Mia received a simple message. "I'd like to see you. No discussion, no contracts, just us." And for reasons she couldn't explain, she went. Not because she was obligated, because she was curious about him, about herself, about this sudden pull neither of them could deny anymore. This time, the door wasn't answered by Alessandra. It was Liam himself. No suit, no tie, just soft slacks, a fitted black shirt, sleeves pushed back, collar open, his chest barely visible through the shadows. "Come in," he said, voice low, almost husky. Mia stepped inside slowly. The air was warm, scented faintly with amber and something darker, masculine. The lights were dimmed. Jazz played low from the speakers. A bottle of wine sat uncorked, untouched. And yet, this wasn't rehearsed. It felt like vulnerability. "Why tonight?" she asked. He turned to her slowly, gaze unguarded. "Because I haven't stopped thinking about that heartbeat. Or your face when you heard it." She swallowed hard. "You could have just said that in a message." He moved closer. "No, it had to be felt." She reached for the wine. He stopped her, not roughly, but with a fingertip on her wrist. "You don't need it," he whispered. "I don't want you numb." Mia stared at him, breath uneven. "Then what do you want?" His voice dropped lower. "You, awake, present, willing." And then he kissed her. This time, it wasn't tentative. It was fire. His mouth claimed hers with aching precision, as if he had memorized the shape of her lips from memory. She responded instantly, her hands threading through his hair, her body pressing against his. He groaned into her mouth, deep and unfiltered, as though he'd been holding himself back for far too long. They didn't make it to the bedroom. Clothes fell like whispers between gasps. His shirt, gone. Her dress, unzipped and pooled around her feet. He cupped her face, held her like she was glass and fire at once. "I want to feel you," he murmured. "No conditions, no terms, just this." Their mouths met again, harder, slower, like language they'd always spoken but never allowed. Her back hit the velvet sofa. He knelt between her knees, kissing down her collarbone, over the swell of her breast, pausing at her stomach. There, he lingered. One kiss, soft, reverent. "To them," he whispered. "And to you." Mia's heart thudded wildly. He stood and pulled her up to straddle him, her legs wrapping around his waist like instinct. The heat between them was impossible to ignore. Every touch sparked something deeper. She ground her hips against him, slow at first, teasing. "Tell me this isn't just another contract to you," she breathed. He looked her in the eyes. "I tore the contract the moment you looked back at me after that ultrasound." They moved to the bedroom, eventually. But this time, there was no negotiation, no initiation, no power play, only connection. Mia lay beneath him, eyes locked to his, her thighs open and waiting. He entered her slowly, eyes never leaving hers, as if anchoring her to the moment. She gasped, not from shock, but from the intensity, the honesty, the way their bodies fit like they'd been crafted for each other. He moved with control, but not to dominate, to explore, to learn her, to worship. Her hands dragged down his back. His teeth grazed her shoulder. His name fell from her lips like a prayer. And when her release came, it wasn't loud. It was shattering, silent, soul deep. A tear slipped from the corner of her eye, not of sadness but surrender. He kissed it away, gently. After, she lay on his chest, both of them slick with sweat, the sheets tangled around their bodies. His hand traced lazy circles over her lower back. For once, Liam spoke without filters, You terrify me, he said. Mia looked up. Why? Because I built my life on logic. And now, nothing about you makes sense. She smiled faintly. Then stop trying to understand me. He turned to face her fully. Stay, he whispered. No contracts? No conditions. She rested her head back against his chest. I'll stay tonight. And after tonight, I don't know. Then I'll keep asking. If you've ever felt something unexpected bloom from what was meant to be nothing. If you've ever surrendered not just your body, but your fear, your pride, your walls. What's the most unforgettable moment you've shared with someone who surprised you? And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because here in Love and Twilights, we honor stories that feel like healing. It arrived in a plain manila sleeve, no return address, no name, just a red sticker on the corner with a single word stamped in black. Confidential. Mia hesitated before opening it. She was halfway through a cup of cafecito in the half-rebuilt willow, and Bean, the morning sun cutting clean shadows through the new windows. She peeled the seal open, and her breath caught in her throat. Inside, photos, dozens of them. Her, on her porch, shopping for groceries, leaving yoga, reading in the park, crying in the middle of the night, on Zara's balcony. Time-stamped, dated, cataloged. Behind the photos, notes, medical reports, security summaries, daily surveillance logs. She stared at the pile of her own life, documented without consent. Her hand shook as she picked up the last item, a typed note. For your safety. No one else has access. L.O. She didn't wait. By nightfall, she was at his door. No appointment, no warning. The elevator opened straight into his penthouse, and Mia walked through like a storm. Liam stood by the fireplace, surprised, but only slightly. Explain, she said, tossing the envelope to the floor. He glanced down at the photos, then back at her. I was ensuring your protection. That's not protection. That's surveillance. He stepped forward. There were threats. No, don't spin it. You didn't do this out of fear. You did this to control. His jaw tightened. I had to be sure. Sure of what? That I wouldn't run? That I wouldn't take your money and vanish? I've seen what people do when power and emotion collide. I needed certainty. You needed control, Liam. He didn't respond. Mia's voice broke. You watched me. In the shower, in my joy, in my grief, alone. Still, he stayed silent. That was worse than anger. The silence, because it meant he knew. She backed away from him, tears unshed but eyes blazing. I let you in, she whispered. Not just into my body, into my life, into something I wasn't planning on sharing. I never meant to betray that, but you did. She turned to the door. He moved, just slightly. Mia, don't. He froze. You don't get to call my name like it still belongs to you. And then she walked out. No slammed doors, just soft steps over hard floors. The days that followed moved slowly. The cafe reopened, soft launch only. A few regulars returned. The kitchen still smelled of her grandmother's recipes. Mia worked in silence, focused, steady. But her body wasn't silent. The babies kicked now. Light flutters like butterflies turning into stronger pulses with each passing day. And every time she felt them move, she thought of the man who had, wept at the sound of their heartbeat, and then shattered her trust. Zara noticed the change. He called every day. I don't answer. Are you going to forgive him? Mia sipped her tea. I don't know. A courier arrived one afternoon. He didn't say who it was from. He didn't have to. Inside the leather folder was a revised contract, heavily edited. Red marks crossing out clauses, entire paragraphs deleted. A handwritten note was clipped to the front. No surveillance, no restrictions. Visitation and custody on your terms only. No more control, only choice. Liam. Mia didn't cry. She just stared at the ink and wondered what kind of man tears up his own rules to make space for someone else's freedom. She didn't reply. Not yet. Sunlight filtered through the cafe's wide windows, dancing off new countertops and freshly polished mugs. Mia wiped down the counter with deliberate care. Every movement was rooted in choice, not obligation. The soft bell over the door chimed, and a familiar face walked in. Mr. Alvarez, one of her old regulars. You brought it back, he whispered, eyes scanning the walls. Mia smiled faintly. It never left me. The cafe wasn't flashy. It didn't scream new. It felt like her. Quiet strength, gentle curves, bold colors in the corners. Pieces of her grandmother's legacy, now lovingly repainted. No outside help. No press release. Just sweat, resilience, and community. She was back. But not entirely whole. Not yet. Her phone buzzed constantly at first. Liam's number. His assistant. Texts. Missed calls. Then nothing. The silence was heavier than the noise, but it was what she needed. Zara sat with her one evening after closing. He's giving you space. I didn't ask for space. I asked for trust. Zara nodded slowly. Sometimes silence is the only language some men know after they're wrong. Mia looked out the window. I thought we were building something. Maybe you were, but you're still allowed to walk away. Mia exhaled sharply. I'm not walking away. I'm standing still, because I need to see if he'll move. The next morning, she was making café con leche when it happened. A sudden nudge inside her. Then another, stronger. She froze. One hand went instinctively to her belly. Then she laughed. A small, stunned, breathless laugh. The babies were moving, really moving now. She sat down slowly, tears welling, as both hands wrapped around her stomach. Hey, she whispered. You're here. They kicked again. Not just life, but presence. And in that moment, she didn't need Liam. She didn't need validation. She just needed them. And herself. That night, Mia opened her notes app. She typed and deleted the message 4 times before letting her thumb settle. They kicked today. Hard. I think they know I needed the reminder. She stared at it for a long time, then locked her phone. She wouldn't send it. Some things didn't need to be shared. Some victories were meant to be quiet, personal, sacred. Days later, a courier arrived, again. This time, no envelope, no legal folder, just a plain leather-bound journal. Inside, handwritten pages. His words, Liam's. I won't send assistance anymore. I won't watch from afar. You asked for freedom. I had to learn what that actually means. This journal is yours. You don't owe me anything. But if you ever want to understand me beyond boardrooms and contracts, start here. Page 1. Mia traced the ink. His writing was neat, but unpolished, like someone trying to reveal more than he was used to. She didn't open it right away, but she didn't throw it away either. The cafe had just closed. Mia was wiping down the espresso machine when Zara rushed in, breath caught in her throat. You need to sit, Zara said. Mia froze. What happened? Liam's been in an accident. The words didn't land right away. They floated, heavy but suspended. He's stable, Zara added quickly. But he's at Mercy General. Head trauma, a few broken ribs. Mia didn't ask how Zara knew. She just moved. The hospital room was dim. The only sound the soft beeping of machines and the low murmur of heart monitors. Liam lay still. No tie. No dominance. No armor. Just a man. Bruised, bandaged, quiet. Mia stepped inside, her shoes whispering against the floor. Zara had said he'd refused visitors. But when the nurse saw her, she nodded and pushed the door open anyway. He's been asking for someone, the nurse whispered. Didn't say your name, but he didn't have to. Mia stood by the bed, her eyes drifting across Liam's face, cut at the brow, swollen at the temple, jaw clenched even in sleep. She pulled the chair closer and waited. It took nearly 40 minutes before he stirred. A soft grunt, a slow blink, and then, Mia. His voice cracked, raw, exposed. She leaned forward. I'm here. He blinked again, pain etched into every corner of his face. Why? She swallowed the lump in her throat. Because despite everything, I care, and I'm carrying your children. He tried to sit, winced, and fell back against the pillow. Mia reached for the water cup and held the straw to his lips. He drank slowly. When he finished, he whispered, I didn't think you'd come. I didn't think I would, either. A beat passed. But here we are. She didn't intend to take his hand, but she did. She laced her fingers between his, firm, warm, familiar. His grip tightened slightly. No dominance, no claims, just connection. I read your journal, she said softly. Only the first page? Just enough to know you meant it. I did. I still need space. I'm not asking for anything. I know. They stayed there like that. No strategy. No seduction, just breath between them. Visiting hours ended. Mia didn't leave. She stayed in the chair beside him, wrapped in a blanket the nurse provided. At 2 a.m., he stirred again. "You asleep?" he asked. She opened one eye. "No. I've been thinking." Dangerous for a man with a head injury. He smiled, lopsided, cracked at the corner. It melted something in her. He turned his head toward her. "I didn't know how to love you without trying to control everything." Mia didn't respond right away. Then, "Love doesn't live in control, Liam. It lives in release. And I'm learning," he said. "I believe you." 2 days later, Liam was discharged under supervision. He wasn't supposed to drive. Walk slowly. Still sore. Mia met him at the clinic for her scheduled scan. "I shouldn't be here," he said as they sat in the waiting room. "You didn't invite me, but you showed up anyway. I wanted to ask. But I didn't want to hear no." She didn't reply. She just led him to the ultrasound room. The gel was cold again. The screen flickered. Then came not one, but 2 fast, pulsing heartbeats. The doctor smiled. "Twins. Looks like you've got a pair of healthy fighters in there." Liam turned pale. Mia's hand flew to her mouth. She turned to him, expecting calculation, control, command. But instead, he was shaking. Not from shock, from emotion. Tears filled his eyes. He turned away, trying to hide them. Mia reached for him. He let her. Sometimes it takes distance to see the whole picture. Sometimes love isn't loud. It's showing up, even after the damage is done. Have you ever returned to someone you thought you'd left behind? What changed? Share your thought in the comments section. Your stories teach us. Your hearts build this family. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Because at Love and Twilights, every tear, every choice, every return matters. The twins' heartbeats echoed long after they left the clinic. Mia didn't say much on the ride home. Neither did Liam. The car hummed quietly through the Miami streets, warm lights spilling across the windshield as dusk approached. Finally, just before they reached her building, she spoke. "We need to redefine this." He turned toward her, unsure. "Define what?" "This. Us. Them. The way forward." He nodded. "Name your terms." "I'm not naming anything tonight, but I'm not doing this passively. If we're raising them, even separately, we have to do it together." He considered that, then said quietly, "What does that look like?" "It looks like a schedule. It looks like you showing up without surveillance, assistance, or uninvited interventions. It looks like transparency and mutual respect." "I can agree to that." She turned to him. "Can you live it?" He didn't answer right away, but his eyes didn't flinch. "And I can learn." The next morning, Mia opened a new journal, not Liam's, hers. Page 1. Non-negotiables, she listed them. No decisions without her input. Every expense tracked openly. Communication only directly through each other. No middlemen. Medical appointments shared. No surprises. By noon, she texted him, "I'm writing the foundation. We build on that or not at all." Liam replied in less than 10 seconds. "Agreed." "I'm with you." There were no flowers, no poetic declarations, just action. That afternoon, he sent over a shared calendar. No logo, no branding, just simplicity. 3 days later, a delivery arrived. No note, no signature, just a box of non-toxic paint swatches, custom nursery samples, and parenting books, one of which had a dog-eared page titled, "Respecting the Mother's Space After Conflict." Zara raised a brow. Subtle, Mia chuckled softly. Still learning, but not retreating. They opened the box together. Inside, beneath the books, sat a small photo frame. Empty, but taped to the glass was a sticky note. "For the first ultrasound picture of the twins, or the cafe reopening. Your choice." Mia didn't text him back. She just smiled and placed the frame on her windowsill. They started small. Liam met her at her OB appointment, held her coat, asked gentle questions. He never assumed, never interrupted. When she mentioned back pain, he asked about prenatal massage options and offered to research certified clinics. When she mentioned hunger, he didn't send expensive meals. He showed up with homemade chicken soup in a plain glass container. "I didn't cook it," he admitted, "but I watched." Twice, she laughed harder than she had in weeks. It felt good, not perfect, not romantic, just honest. One night, Mia stood in front of her bathroom mirror, towel wrapped beneath her belly, palm resting where her babies moved. She stared at her reflection, not judging it, not adjusting it, just taking it in. There was no man behind her, no looming figure shaping her choices, just her. And still, she didn't feel alone, because this Liam, the one respecting boundaries, showing up without force, he was someone she might not fear growing beside, even if she wasn't ready to call it love. Yet, have you ever rebuilt something, not by going back to how it was, but by defining what it could be? What's one boundary you had to set, even with someone you still cared about? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone learning how to heal and build again. Because at Love and Twilights, we believe in second chances, only when they're earned. Helps me sleep. He hesitated. Can I sit? She motioned to the opposite armchair. He didn't talk much, just watched the storm, then asked, Do you still dream of opening more cafes? Mia blinked. No one's asked me that since the storm. Do you? She looked down at her stomach. I don't know if I'm allowed to dream big right now. You're more allowed now. Why? Because you're not dreaming alone. Their eyes met. She looked away first. The next evening, they cooked together. Well, she cooked. He chopped. Poorly. You're holding that knife like it's a business deal, she teased. I am a business deal, he replied, deadpan. She laughed, and it startled them both. Liam paused, then softly added, I miss that sound. The moment lingered. She didn't answer. Didn't need to. They ate in silence, not the kind that presses, but the kind that comforts. When he stood to do dishes, she didn't stop him. And when he dropped a glass, she didn't yell. She laughed again. Somehow, that mattered more than words. That night, she heard him pacing in the guest room. Soft steps, back and forth. She didn't knock, didn't open the door. She simply lay in bed, hand over her belly, and whispered to the twins, He's trying. Then she added, So am I. It began just before dawn. A dull ache, rhythmic, steady, rising and falling like a tide with purpose. Mia sat on the edge of her bed, one hand clutching the frame, the other gripping her phone. Zara had warned her it might happen early. Twins often came ahead of schedule. She tried to breathe through the next wave. It didn't pass. It climbed. By the third contraction, she wasn't calm anymore. She was shaking. She texted Zara, It's time. They're coming. And then, she hesitated. Her finger hovered over Liam's name. She didn't owe him a call. But the moment she felt a sharp kick under her ribs, she pressed dial. Zara arrived in under 10 minutes. Liam, 6. He didn't speak when he entered, just crouched beside her, took her hand and whispered, I'm here. Mia was doubled over on the floor, breath ragged. It hurts, she choked. I know, he said, gripping tighter. You don't have to go through it alone. The ride to the hospital was a blur of pain and white-knuckled silence. Every time her body seized, Liam would count, quiet, slow, steady, helping her breathe. He didn't panic. He didn't command. He just held her through it. By the time they reached the delivery suite, the contractions were minutes apart. The twins were ready. Everything moved fast. Doctors, nurses, IVs, machines. Mia couldn't keep up, but Liam never left her side. He helped her into the gown. He stroked her hair when she moaned. He didn't flinch when she dug her nails into his wrist during a particularly brutal contraction. You're doing it, he whispered. You're so strong. Tears welled in her eyes. I'm scared, Liam. I know. But you're not alone, the doctor shouted. First one's crowning. Mia screamed. Her body was no longer her own. It was a vessel, a passage, a battlefield. And then, relief. A cry filled the room. A boy. Seconds later, another, softer cry. Still strong. Another boy. 2 lives. 2 heartbeats. The nurse placed one twin on Mia's chest, the other in Liam's arms. He didn't move, didn't speak. He just stared down at the tiny life blinking up at him. Mia watched him. His lips trembled. His entire body stilled, except for his eyes, which flooded with something deeper than joy. He looked up. You gave me life, he whispered. Not just theirs. Mine too. Mia's throat closed. She held her son close and said, freedom was never about walking away. It was about choosing who to stay for. He came closer, lowered his forehead to hers. Not a kiss. A vow, made without words. The doctor left. The nurses cleared the room. The lights dimmed. Liam pulled out his wallet and slid the original surrogacy contract from the back flap. It was worn, creased, but still intact. He looked at it for a long time, then quietly tore it in half. Then again, and again, until it was just paper. Not power, not control, just the past. He dropped the pieces in the bin. Mia didn't speak. She didn't need to. 2 nurses returned with clipboards. Names for the boys? One asked. Mia sat up slightly, cradling the twin curled against her chest. Liam stood beside her, holding the other, eyes soft. She glanced at him. He gave a nod. Your choice. Her voice was gentle but certain. This one, she said, motioning to the boy in her arms, is Elias Mateo Willow. Then she looked at the second baby, now asleep against Liam's chest. And he is Luca Emilio Owen. Liam blinked. You gave them both our names. No, I gave them their names, strong, blended, whole. The nurse smiled. Beautiful. Mia signed. So did Liam. No hesitation, no lawyers. Just ink on paper, marking the beginning of something real. Later that evening, Mia stood near the hospital window, watching the skyline shimmer. Her body ached. Her heart felt stretched, open in ways she hadn't anticipated. Liam approached, gently shifting Elias to his other arm. She didn't turn to face him. I used to think naming something gave it control over you, she said. But maybe naming it just frees you to feel it. He stepped beside her. What is this between us, Mia? She looked at him. Finally, it's not what it was. It's not just biology anymore. And if I want more, you have to earn it, not with gestures, not with power, with consistency, with truth. He nodded once. No argument, no defense. Just a man willing to start from the beginning. Again. The next day, Zara visited. She held Luca with practiced ease and grinned at Mia. So, now what? You two going to play happy family? Mia smirked. We're going to play honest family. Zara raised a brow. And the romantic part? I'm not asking for that, Mia said. And I'm not offering it yet either. She looked down at Elias. But I'm not running. That night, after the babies were bathed and sleeping side by side in bassinets, Mia walked Liam to the hallway. You don't have to stay the night. I want to. She hesitated. In the room, or down the hall. He stepped closer, but didn't touch her. I'll stay where you want me. Mia took a breath, then reached for his hand, not to pull, not to lead, just to connect. I want you nearby. No walls, but no rushing. He nodded. She stepped closer, chest to chest. No heat, just calm. And then, softly, she kissed him. No passion, just clarity. He exhaled into it and whispered, I've never felt more seen. A week after the twins were discharged, Liam handed Mia a sealed envelope. They stood in the quiet of her living room. The babies were asleep in matching bassinets nearby, soft breaths rising in rhythm. Mia turned the envelope over slowly. What is this? My final offer, Liam said, his voice steady, but low. If you open it, you'll find a full custody release form, a certified transfer of the remaining contract funds, and legal confirmation that I forfeit all future claims. She didn't say a word. He continued, I wanted to give you the power I once took away. No questions, no expectations, no surveillance. You can walk away with everything. The boys, the money, and your life. Her heart pounded, not from fear, but from clarity. That night, she stood in front of the same mirror she'd faced when the cafe crumbled months ago. Only this time, she wasn't alone. 2 cribs flanked her reflection. A journal lay open beside her, Liam's, still half unread. The envelope sat on the dresser, unopened. Her reflection looked older, wiser, less afraid. She whispered to it, I'm not who I was, and I won't pretend I didn't change because of him. The truth wasn't that she couldn't walk away. It was that she no longer needed to, not because he completed her, but because he had stepped aside and let her complete herself. The next morning, she called him. No text, no middleman, just his voice, rough with sleep when he answered. I'm coming over, she said. He didn't ask why. He didn't need to. When she arrived, the twins in their car seats, Liam was already waiting in the driveway. She handed him the envelope, still sealed. I didn't open it. You should. It's your freedom. She shook her head. Freedom isn't always leaving, Liam. Sometimes it's choosing to stay. He blinked. Are you saying? I'm saying I want to build something real, not as your surrogate, not your subject, as your equal. A long pause. Then, carefully, what does that look like to you? She smiled. It starts with breakfast and ends wherever we decide to keep going. That day they cooked together. This time, Liam didn't fumble with a knife. He diced onions while Mia cracked eggs, the babies cooing softly from their carriers in the corner. No tension, no pretending. Just hands that work together. He passed her a bowl without speaking. She kissed his cheek without thinking. And he turned, surprised, but steady. You're sure? I am. He placed his forehead against hers. No dramatics. Just breathing in sync. You were never a transaction, he said. Not even at the start. I know, she whispered. And I forgive you. 1 week later, the envelope still sat on the kitchen counter, untouched, unneeded. Mia picked it up, turned it over, and handed it to Liam. Burn it, she said simply. He didn't ask twice. He walked to the backyard, lit the fire pit, and held the envelope between his fingers. It curled in the flames without protest, the paper dissolving like ash in twilight. She stood beside him, arms crossed gently over her chest. What did it mean to you? She asked. He looked at the last flickers of smoke. Control, fear, a way to keep everything on my terms. And now it means nothing. He turned to her. You do. Inside, Elias let out a soft wail. Mia moved toward the bassinet, but Liam was already there. He scooped the baby into his arms with ease, rocking gently. Lucas stirred but didn't cry. Mia stood in the doorway, watching, noticing. He wasn't the same man she met in a glass tower. That man had offered millions but withheld emotion. This man knew how to hold their son, how to soften his voice, how to kiss a forehead without an audience. When he looked up, his smile was small but real. You want to hold him? He asked. Mia nodded. Together, they sat on the floor, babies in arms, backs against the couch. No noise, no tension, just the quiet of a home that had never needed walls. 3 weeks later, the new Willow and Bean reopened officially, with a line out the door. Liam stood behind the register for the first hour, not because Mia asked him to, but because he offered. Customers recognized him. Some stared, a few whispered. He didn't care. He wore a simple gray shirt, an apron that didn't quite fit, and a look of total peace. At noon, he passed Mia a fresh cafecito with a grin. Not as good as yours, not even close. Still, she took it with a smile and kissed his cheek. Zara winked from across the room. You two gonna keep playing house? Or are you finally admitting you're one? Mia leaned into Liam, resting her head on his shoulder. This is the house, just without the walls. That night, after the twins were asleep, Liam lit 2 candles on the porch. The sky was clear, the breeze soft. Mia stepped outside, wrapped in a cardigan, barefoot and quiet. She leaned against the railing beside him. No words passed between them for a while. Then, I spent so long trying to buy control, Liam said, because I thought if I owned everything, nothing could leave me. Mia nodded slowly. And now? She asked. He turned to her fully. I don't want control. I want presence. With you. With them. She smiled gently. Then stay. Not because you're trying to fix what broke, but because you want to be part of what's being built. He took her hand, pressed a kiss to her palm. No rings, no vows. Just choice. Hello, my wonderful and beautiful family. This is Dr. Phillips, I know. You enjoyed this story to the fullest if you've ever walked through fire. Only to find love on the other side. Not because someone rescued you, but because they met you in your strength. Tell us your story below. What does love look like? When it's not forced, not begged for, but freely chosen? Like this video, comment your heart. Subscribe so you never miss the kind of stories that don't just entertain, but heal. This was for every mother, every fighter, every person who thought they had to run, but finally realized they could stay. May God Almighty grant you your heart desires. Amen.